Okay, this is a video on how to set up an ATM strategy in NinjaTrader. You can pause the video if you want to read more slowly the details of the parameters that I'm going to use. You can easily set your own parameters to whatever values you want once you see how to set up the ATM strategy. To create a new ATM strategy, you need to open a DOM and then select an instrument. I have an NQ chart open already, so I'll select NQ. But once you create and save a new strategy, you can use it on any instrument. You just have to pick one in order to create the strategy. Select Custom under the ATM Strategy pull-down. The way Steve trades uses a two-target strategy, so you want to select two-target right here. If you're trading with only two contracts, then you put a 2 right here, you put a 1 right here, and a 1 right here. If you're trading with 3 contracts, then you want to put a 3 right there and a 2 right there. This means that the first 2 contracts will use the rules for the first target, and the last contract will use the rules for the second target. When we open a trade, we use a 25-tick stop loss for all contracts and a 10-tick profit target for the first 2 contracts. We don't put any target for the remaining contract because we simply want to let that one run with a trailing stop, which we'll set up in the stop strategies in a moment. For your first target, under Stop Strategies, select Custom. The only thing we need to do to the first 2 contracts is to move the stop up each time we move another bar into profit. Since our bars are 4 ticks apart, we set the profit trigger at 4 ticks and the frequency at 4 ticks, and then we move the stop behind it. I like to use 22 instead of 25, but this is the number of ticks behind the current price where the stop is going to be placed. This means that when we reach 4 ticks of profit, the stop will be moved to 22 ticks behind the current price. So when we hit +4 and move the stop to 22 ticks behind that, our new stop will now be at -18. So we've moved from -25 to -18. If we hit another 4 ticks of profit, that'll be 8 total profit. Then it will move the stop to 22 ticks behind that current price of 8, which will put us at -14. Some trades will get losers, but the losers will be smaller losers because we saw some profit and tightened the stop. Then before we could get the stop moved again on another step, we'll reach our first target of 10 ticks, and then the first contracts get taken out in profit. So that's all that'll happen with this stop strategy. It has to be given a name, and to do that you right-click in the empty space and click Manage Stop Strategy Templates. Give it a name. I like to use 4-tick Titan. Save that, say OK, then click the pull down and select the name you've just given so that you can select that stop strategy for the first target and then say OK. Now for the second target. Under Stop Strategies, select Custom. The first thing to do in here is set the same parameters that we did in the first one for tightening the stop during the first few bars. So we'll put 4 and 4 and 22. Now once the first contracts have been taken off in profit, we want to move the stop on the remaining contract to or near to break even. We do that here by setting the auto break even profit trigger to be 10 ticks. And that does exactly what it sounds like it would do. When you reach 10 ticks of profit, it's going to automatically move the stop to break even. Now some traders want to set it to break even plus 1 or 2. That way some profit is protected on that last contract, and here's where you could do that if you want to. Break even plus 1 or break even plus 2. If you watch how Steve trades in the room, that didn't look like I wanted it. Okay, break even plus 1 or break even plus 2 or 3 or 4, whatever. If you watch the way Steve trades in the room, he always keeps the stop at about 5 ticks below break even. So after he takes profit on the first two contracts, 10 and 10, he'll move the stop to -5. I like -5 myself, and you can set that right here. That means that what's going to happen is we've moved our stop up to -14. We hit our target and took off the first two contracts. Now we have a stop at -5 on the runner. Now Steve always leaves them alone from that point until they get to about 14 or 15 ticks of profit. Then he starts to move the stop into profit territory, and you use step 2 to do that. If you put a 15 right here, that means that nothing else is going to happen until the trade reaches 15 ticks of profit. Since each bar is 4 ticks apart, we set the frequency to 4. That means it'll move the stop roughly every time a new bar is created. It's not exact because it goes with where the exact price is at any moment. And we all know price does not always go exactly where we want it to go. So this is not going to track exactly on the end of each bar, but it's very, very close. Now since our bars are 14 ticks long, if we trail at 16 ticks behind the current price, that will always give us a stop that's just past the high or the low of the previous bar. So what we've done here is we've moved the stop initially from -25 to -18 after the first 4 ticks, then to -14 after 8 ticks, then to -5 after 10 ticks, and then to -1 after 15 ticks. And every 4 ticks from this point forward, the stop will get moved another 4 ticks into profit. Now at this point we see many trades that do go on as runners, but we do still get taken out of a lot of them on turn bars or wicks and tails that pass the high or low of the previous bars. Now granted, often those will give us another opportunity to get back in, but at some point we're going to want to widen it farther and give it more room to breathe. You'll see Steve starting to do this, usually around 25 to 30 ticks of profit. You can use step 3 to do that. Step 3 says that if you put 30 here, for example, then when profit reaches 30 ticks, and continuing every 4 ticks after that, then we'll quit moving it at 16 ticks behind the current price and start moving it at whatever this new number is. Now our power numbers are 24 ticks apart. So if you put a 26 right here, that means that once we pass 30 ticks of profit, we'll start moving along behind the power number. On long runners, this will allow you to ride over all the wicks and tails and even some turn bars and stay with a runner until the trend changes. Now this stop strategy must also be given a name, and to do that you right click in the empty space, manage stop strategy templates, give it a name. I like to call it power trail, save. Then click OK. Then you have to click this pull down and select the strategy you just made, which is power trail. And now we have 2 different targets with 2 different stop strategies. Now we have a custom ATM strategy with separate stop strategies for each target. We need to give the ATM strategy a name and save it. To do that, you right click in any of the edge space here on the dome and then manage ATM strategy templates. Give it a name. I like to use 1025. Of course you can call it what you want. Click save. Now NinjaTrader 7 does not have a way to add an ATM strategy to an open trade. So it's very important that you select your strategy before you place an order for a new trade. If you trade using the dome, you'll select it right here so that you've got your strategy selected before you begin taking the trade. If you use the chart trader, then again you select it right here. Make sure you have it selected before you take a trade. This is a screenshot of all the dialog boxes with all the numbers filled in for the